Hi, this is Rachel, also known as Ditsy Diamond Painter, and it's a bit of a whip and waffle and an experiment almost. So it is Saturday the 30th of October. I am working on the End of the Rainbow by Anne-Marie Bone from Dreamer Designs. I haven't even placed a drill on there yet. When you see this, it'll probably be the 31st of October, so Halloween. I've got the 61 colours, so there's 32 in there. And then there's 30 in there. 29, I don't know. Well, like I said, got a pen and a pad. Where's my pad? In case I will mention anything that I need to put a link to. Got that there. So, yeah, so I've just unboxed this. I've had it in my stash for a few months. Let me just get a colour. So I'm going for 310. Is that going to focus? Yay, nay. Do that. No, just you can see anyway. I've got my oil slick. Because don't the colours go well? Yes they do. And you can judge some drills by the 310, can't you, really? So I was going to do a ghost story, but then I think sometimes that this is still my wax from the last diamond painting from Diamond Art Studio. I sometimes think that sometimes the scary stories are based on real people. So I've got this book and I've had it for how long have I had it? It's got to be 20 years, and it's called The World's Wickedest Women. So I thought I'll have a go through there and we'll see. So I've read the first couple of women, and it's the kind of it goes in sections, so it's things like mistresses, queens, and you know, that kind of thing. And so I read the first one. I thought, I don't know why she's in it, because she's not wicked. She's just a bit, how can I put it, easy going. I think she did what she had to do to survive, you know, for her time, kind of thing. So these are placed through history. There's no modern ones in there. I don't think there's any there might be some modern ones in there, but not modern from the last 20 years anyway. So I thought it might be interesting to give some info about some of these women. Go through the book, you know. I'm not reading out the book. I've read the chapter, well, for this woman, and then I've wrote notes, and then I've kind of, I don't know, because I don't understand why she's wicked, but yeah, anyway, I've kind of double checked things and found things out, kind of thing. So that's the plan, but I thought I'd give you a quick what I've been up to. Not a lot. A whole lot of nothing, but a whole lot of something, I think, is the way I'm going to say that. The kids have been off this week. Last weekend I took Max to Oakenshire show. It was in the woods down the road, and that was really, really good. Max didn't seem that interested, but I could have stayed down there longer if I was on my own, I think. But they were doing like they were doing the chainsaw carvings, you know, where they use a chainsaw and carve, and they've done the Green Man in on a big stump of wood, and they did an owl, and they did different things, and they'd got some that you could do, like the pond, looking at creatures from what they'd got out the river. They were encouraging conservation and volunteering for different things to do with the nature reserve, and lots to do. They had the show of horses there that work the woodlands rather than using, you know, heavy machinery, and they had hand turning wooden bowls, marshmallows over the fire. They did s'mores. It was really good. I enjoyed it. We were searching for books, all kind of things, storytelling for the kids. I come back with a butterfly bush to plant in the garden. I haven't seen many butterflies this year, really. What else have we done? Things like, I don't know, shopping, all the usual malarkey. All the things I was going to do, like, you know, sort out the kids' Max's bedroom. I haven't done any of that, to be honest. I did try and do as much as I could of my last diamond painting to try and get it in for DP Pink for BCA, but I didn't make it in time, so never mind. It was still nice to do. That was the gingerbread house. Well, they say it's a gingerbread house. It's a fairy house. It's in a bunch of, I've never heard of a gingerbread house and a bunch of flowers. It's a fairy house. Don't tell anyone I said. I've not watched much YouTube. I have been audio, you know, listening to audio books this when I have been and then, you know, if you can hear any noise, it's probably the telly in the other room. Everyone's home. Well, Max and Nicholas have just gone to the park with the dog and a football. So that's nice. They're getting some more fresh air. Then what else have we been doing? That's it, really. It's the half term. You know, remember a time when they used to want to do things with me, but Max is only 9 and he's never wanted to do things with me. He's a daddy's boy through and through. Then what else? No, that's it really. Nothing going on. We've decided we're not taking Max out trick-or-treating again this year. We just don't want to risk it with the whole COVID thing still, and so we're just going to get a bunch of sweets in and maybe watch a movie in the afternoon or something. Then Most Haunted's on. I could have swore I've seen Most Haunted's on tomorrow. So that's going to be a must do. So well, I don't know where they are either. I've not really looked into it. I just know it was on. I know I set a reminder for something. So I think that's a live that's on tomorrow night, sorry. I've not watched any telly. I'm waiting for The Witcher, which is Coras. I think it's the 11th of November. The Witcher's coming on, so I'll be watching that with Mikey, because Mikey's the only one out of all of them that likes to sit and watch telly with me and stuff on the night. So we'll definitely be watching The Witcher. There you go. I think that's it really. Oh, it's very sticky, this canvas. I like the border around it as well. So this is for Andrew's Christmas present. So I'm doing this for his Christmas present, and I might do another one for his birthday as well, for his new flat. He was supposed to be coming down today, but he's had to go into work. So he said he's going. I know he's in Brum tomorrow, but he's going to a Halloween party somewhere. So he said he's going to pop in on Monday, but I very much doubt that's going to happen. 1 second. And I'm back. Sorry about that. But Mr. P needed the loo. And it's on the other side of the door, you know, of the hallway. I'm sure you don't need to hear Mr. P having a piddle. So yeah, so Andrew was supposed to come down this weekend, but he's not. He said he's going to pop in Monday, but I doubt it very much, to be honest. We'll see. That's it really. The kids go back to school Monday. Well, Nicholas goes back to college and Marky goes back to school. Max doesn't go back till the Tuesday. So we're I'll have him all to myself. Well, Mr. P's off Mondays now till after winter, till after Christmas. So to use his holidays up, so he's got every Monday off. So here we go. We're going to start with the world's wickedest women. I don't think this one's wicked. I don't know. I suppose for the time she would be classed as right deviant, but not. The time was she wicked? Again, this is she's from the mid-1800s, really, and her name, well, she goes by the name of Cora Pearl, and her real name was Eliza Emma Crouch, and her father was famous in his own right. Her father's name was Frederick Crouch, and he was a music teacher in Plymouth, and he composed a song. He didn't write the lyrics, someone else wrote the lyrics. He composed the book song called Kathleen Mavourneen, something like that. And apparently it's about, I looked up this song, it's about someone whose husband is going off to war, kind of thing. He's going off to war and leaving his love behind. And he got quite famous from that. Now in the book it just said that she ended up going to a convent school in France off the profit, you know, the money that was made from this song, this ballad. However, I did look into this a bit further, because I looked into the father, and the father just abandoned them basically and went off to the America, and this was around 1835, so that's when the song came out. But you know, he made this song. But so she was sent, and her siblings were sent to a convent school in France, and they think that her dad may have had up to 20 children with various women, and he wasn't what you call a stable man by the sounds of it. How true that is, I don't know, because some people said he did and some people said it wasn't that many, but he did have other children and he left them in America. So the mother married someone else, and she didn't, and Cora didn't get along with, well, we'll call her Elizabeth because that's what, Eliza, because that's what she was known for there then, and she really didn't get along with the stepdad, and there is queries about why that is as well when I looked it up. So she's sent to a convent school in France, a French boarding school. I could have sworn I saw that there was something about it being a convent school, but I don't know. So it's a boarding school in France. But when she comes back, she goes to work. She goes to live with her grandmother in London. So she was in Plymouth, and then she went to London when she come back to live with the grandmother, because she wouldn't live with the stepfather. Again, alarm bells ring there, don't they? So she kind of got a bit bored, I think. She was a beauty, apparently she's very pretty, and it was a figure really that all the men went for. Now, in the book it says that she wanted to become an actress and started going to theatres, sneaking to theatres, where she was kind of seduced by a man, and things happened, and he left £5 on the bedside, if that makes sense. So she knew she couldn't go back home to her grandmother, so she went to stay somewhere near Covent Gardens with this £5. But then I read that wasn't in the book that she actually worked as a milliner's assistant, and she was asked out on a date by a man when she was working there. So who knows what the truth is, because you know the book's saying one thing and the internet is saying another. And like I said, this book is over 20 years old, so then because she won't go back home to her grandmother, she ends up working for a man called, let's look at my notes, called Robert Bignor, and he kind of employed her to sing and dance, which apparently she wasn't that good at. But the place that he owned was called the Argyle Rooms. Now online it says the Argyle Rooms was actually a brothel. So she would have only been young, easily, manipulated, and who knows what else. And you don't know if she's already been. There's questions on how many times she was kind of taken advantage of and what that situation was in that way. But he used to travel to Paris, so she went to Paris quite a few times, and she would go as his wife, even though it wasn't his wife, and she wasn't his wife, and she decided to stay, and that's when she changed her name to Cora Pearl. So anyway, she's classed as a, what was it? She was a courtesan. Now when I looked up the word courtesan, it says that she was a prostitute. That's what it means, for more affluent, so royalty and whatever. But I just think, when I read what she was doing, I thought she was just making sure she got what she wanted and used sex to do. So is that, I don't know. So anyway, I ain't got an issue with that anyway. So she she's kind of, working her way around the circuit, shall we say, and she meets up with let me try and pretend. I'm going to get Juice de Rivoli, which is some kind of duke in France apparently, and he ended up buying her house with servants, and I mean, she wasn't just sleeping with him, she was sleeping with quite a few rich men that, I mean, kept her in a, let's be honest, I would if I was getting what she was getting. I don't think I would have gambled it all away, but yeah, I don't know what woman in the right mind, if they've, so she, and with a prince, and she was also offering her favours, as they called it, to a 17-year-old Prince Akil Murat, and he bought her a stable, and it was apparently, the kind of best stable around, and she got 60 horses and all these kind of things, and she let's just say she lived in a life of luxury, and she had, men would buy her gold, and she had over 1 million francs for that time in jewels, and if they couldn't afford her lap of luxuries, then she just got rid of them. She didn't. But they reckon that some men lost all their fortunes on more for them. That's what I say. More for them for spending it all on there. And then, so she had like I'd like to call it her harem. She had a few on the books, should we say, and she called it her golden chain of lovers. And if she wanted anything, they would come and they would run and they would give it her. And now remember, this is the 18 what? Well, it's up to 1865. and she did things like she would sleep. She was sleeping with the Prince of. Let's have a look at this. Prince of Orange from who was from the Netherlands, and she had Duc de Marais, Juice de Marais, which was another duke, which was a cousin of someone else she was sleeping with, and yeah, she was a busy little bee. Let's put it that way. She earned a keep, by the looks of it. But she wasn't afraid to flaunt her sexuality, which I think is what the issue is. It's Victorian France. You know, it's not you know, you don't even show an ankle in these times, never mind come out and host a party with just some jewels on your nipples and your bits, do you really? And that's what she was doing. And she even she did a meal, and she said, I bet you won't eat any of the meat on this, you know, on this serving tray. And when they brought the serving tray up, it was her lying naked on a big massive silver platter with a bit of parsley sprinkled. So whether she got eaten, I don't know, if you get my drift. It's a bit rude, isn't it? She said she is a bit rude. I'm sorry, that made me snort. So, but I still don't know how she's evil. I suppose she did seduce these men, but men are men. They're going to sleep with other women. You know, it takes two to tango. And it doesn't look like she kind of had any airs and graces about what her goals were and what, you know, I don't think she made out to be in love with them or but she must have been good in the sack. And yeah, so that's from 1862. She had these golden chains of lovers. But she even did things like she'd dye her hair blue, or what's the other colour? She'd dye her hair to match the colour of her carriages that she would be driving in, and she also sunbathed to tan her skin, which was extremely a big no-no at this time. But no, she liked to have a good old tan on her. So her enemies would say that she wasn't that good looking, that it was just her body. But she's quite pretty, I think. I don't think she knew how to work it, that's for definite. I'm quite, you know, I quite like her. So her longest relationship kind of was with Prince Napoleon, and he was married to a devout princess. Now it just says devout, it doesn't say whether, so I presume that's Catholic. Is that Catholic? Because the only time I hear devout really from them times is if you're a devout Catholic. I might be wrong, me jumping the gun, but she was devout, so I think they're trying to make out that she was quite, we only have sex for babies, and that was it. I don't know if it was an arranged marriage. I don't know if it was a marriage of, well, it can't be a marriage of love, because he was pumping away at good old Coral. But then in 1870 the Franco-Prussian War happened, and good old Napoleon and all most of the, you know, her good old friends, we'll call them, ended up having to run, and Napoleon was in exile. But why, during that war, she turned her house, now she owned a few houses, but she turned her main house into a hospital, and it's recorded that, you know, she was helping look after the wounded for 16 hours straight, and You know, she pulled her hands out of her arse and buckled down and, you know, did what she had to do to help the wounded. And so again, I don't think that's wicked. Granted that her house was being paid for by someone else's husband, but again, I don't think she was in it for love. She was in it to make and break, you know. There was a bit more as well. Yeah, so like I said, she turned her house into a hospital and all the rest of that malarkey. Now, Napoleon was in exile, which was her main source of money and whatnot. We could have been dead by then, I don't know. It didn't go into too much detail, and I thought if I'm going to go down into the roots of the, you know, into the Franco-Prussian War, then that's a whole other ball game, isn't it, really? So we'll stick to what bits I did notice. She was kind of running low on funds, shall we say, because half of the people were probably not alive that was paying her, and then half the people were on the run, and God knows what. But she was still, you know, she was finding her ways, knowing which men to seduce, and but by the sounds of it, they didn't take much seducing, and she started seeing a man called Alexander Duval. Now, he started to get a little bit clingy, so she got rid of him, and he turned up at her house and asked to see her, and she let him and at the door, and she wouldn't let him in, and there was a scuffle, and he ended up shooting himself, and he ended up dying. Now, there's in the book, it makes out that she kind of left him on the doorstep and left him to die, kind of thing, and was really cold about it. But then there's other records that say that, because again I looked this up as well, because I would have thought that there would have been police involved even in them times, you know, if someone was dead on your doorstep. And it seems that she did actually try and help him, but she didn't feel much sympathy for him, because, you know, he was a bit of a prat in her eyes. Again, I don't think she ever promised any of these men, you know, her heart or anything like that. So again, and I'm trying to remember it was in the 1800s and not the 1880s. But I don't know. So in 1874, it absolutely wrecked her reputation, this shooting, and she kind of got booed and hissed at when she went to certain places, and she came back to London for a bit. She went to stay in a hotel. I can't remember what the hotel was. It was a posh hotel, and once they realised who she was, they wouldn't let her stay. So she had to go and stay in a boarding house somewhere else or something like that. So, but she did. I mean, not that it stopped her. She did, because she broke up with Napoleon, the prince, not the, you know. And but she, you know, she got by. She went to Real Madrid and so Spain and other, you know, countries, and managed to get herself, you know, going. And but she never was, because of this shooting, she never really managed to get the men that were paying the books, should we say. So she sold all of her. She managed to keep herself going. So she broke up with Napoleon, Prince Napoleon. 1 second. Sorry about that. I think Nicholas and. Oh, hold on. 1 second. Sorry about that. Max and Nicholas have just come back in. So, where was I? Yeah, so her reputation was pretty busted, and then in 1874 Napoleon broke up with her. And I mean, she was a big gambler. She would, you know, she had loads of gambling debts, but she managed to keep going till 1884. Right, I wrote 19 down on my notes then. No, 1884. So she and that was through selling all her jewels and so she managed to go 10 years. But sadly she ended up in a boarding house. She'd lost all her looks, and she became quite sick. And she died on the 8th of July they're saying it was intestinal cancer. And again, I don't know how correct diagnoses were in the 1880s. And she was going to be buried as a pauper, so nothing there, but she an anonymous donor did the whole pay for the funeral and whatnot. So sadly she come to an end. Now I read this and I thought, why is she wicked? I mean, I suppose if you think that her doing what she do, you know, being, I suppose, definitely in the time, being sexually active like that would have raised a lot of eyebrows. But it sounds to me like she was a woman doing what she had to do to survive, and it sounds like she wasn't in the best of circumstances to begin with. Her dad had abandoned her, her mum had shipped her off to France. She had a stepdad that there's queries about whether he'd never done things that he shouldn't have been doing. Again, speculation. No, I don't think there's any proof of it, but so I kind of liked her. Now, if she did slam the door in that bloke's face after he shot himself, from all accounts it was a struggle where he pointed the gun at her and there was a struggle and he ended up shooting himself. So to me that would be self-defense anyway. The sleeping with married men, yeah, I don't agree with that, but at the same time these men would have been sleeping with someone whether it was Cora Pearl or not. think it was, even though it was, I mean, she was well known, she was part of the elite, she was treated as part of the elite, so it's only when things went do-dally with the nutter that shot himself, ended up shooting, and he didn't shoot himself on purpose, he shot himself by accident. Now in the book it makes out that he shot himself on purpose, but he didn't. There was a struggle, and the book does say that she kind of left him on the doorstep and was quite callous, but then there is reports that she did try and help him as much as he could, and he just died. So who knows the truth behind that. But let's be honest, if someone pulls a gun on you and they end up shooting themselves, you're not going to give them a cuddle on the doorstep, are you? You can't phone the police because there's no phones in. When did that happen? 1870, in the early 1817, or I don't know, but I don't think she warrants being in a book called The World's Wickedest Women. So what do you think? Do you think she was wicked? I mean, there's some things you can suggest are a bit morally, but it all depends what, you know. No one's walked her shoes, and I definitely haven't got an issue with sex for money if you can get away with it. What I don't agree with is women that are in vulnerable situations having to use their body for sex with no kind of monitoring or protection, and but that's a whole different discussion, I think. So there you go, that is the story of Cora Pearl, the courtesan of the 1860s in Paris. I'd like to know why in a special book. I know she did write her memoirs, excuse me, but she didn't name the people that were in them, she kind of changed the names. So that might be interesting to read, actually. And she did have she had like a little bookkeeping, and it listed how much they gave her and what gifts she got. So, you know, she was definitely in it for the money, and it wasn't for looking for love. But again, you work with what you got, don't you, really? So that was Cora Pearl, and that is... Oh, she looks like a very pretty lady. So the next one next week will be Lola Montez. And she was, someone is stated in saying, she was fatal to any man who dares to love her. So that might be a bit more interesting one. Not interesting, I thought the Cora Pearl one was interesting, but this one is fascinating. But so I'll be looking into her more as well. But she was also a mistress. I don't know if she was mistress of a lot of men or whether she was a mistress of a few, but she was a mistress. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed this video and the fascinating facts of what is classed as wicked. Oh, my battery's running low on me. I'm not plugged in. Oh, the screen's gone. That's it, that's better. So, what do you think? Do you think she should be classed as wicked? I definitely don't. So, anyway, thanks for watching. And please press that like button if you can manage to get to the end. Thanks, bye.